Everybody wants to talk about how bad deflation is. Look, deflation is great. You're unemployed and the cost of food is going down and your rent is going down and your utility bills are going down. That's all good news, right? Americans aren't going to be that fortunate this time because we're going to see massive increases in consumer prices.
It's hell on earth. I mean, look, the Pentagon says it. The Ministry of Defense and the reports that we've covered say it, that when there's a financial meltdown, they say between 2016 and 2020, this was put out in 2007, London Guardian, go look it up, folks. They say it could be road warrior level is one of the quotes in the Pentagon report. I mean, I don't know if it's going to get that bad, but the societal issue of all these spoiled, rotten brats that think everything is entitled to them under socialism and a crazy like Bernie Sanders, I mean, is this not the perfect storm, sir? What do you think?
Oh yeah, this is the reason that the Founding Fathers detested democracy so much. They wanted to protect us from things like Bernie Sanders. But look, I don't know how bad it's going to get, but I don't want to find out, holding dollars. I don't want to have my life savings, my retirement accounts in a currency that can be almost completely worthless in a worst case scenario. Even in a best case scenario, the dollar is going to lose the majority of its purchasing power. There's no way out of this.
Peter, stay there. I'm going to come back with one more segment and one more if you can. You probably got to go. But I want to really drill into this. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, and what you're doing. I mean, seriously, folks, I'm not exaggerating when I say I'm thinking about getting a farmhouse with an armored 20-foot wall. And I mean, seriously, I mean, this is just out of control. If you study this and what the real experts say versus the media, this is dangerous. We'll be back. You notice folks aren't calling Peter Schiff, myself, Ron Paul, fearmongers anymore. I mean, you can't just print unlimited money and give it to the elites forever and not have it cause big problems. So in the 6 minutes we have, the next 5 minutes that Mr. Schiff's with us, I'm going to try to shut up here and let him break down where he thinks this is going, how bad it's going to get, what he's doing to protect himself, and what some of the other big hot spots are. And then the next segment, I want to briefly ask him about the campaigns, about the Pope weighing in on politics, where he sees all that going as well. But getting back to the head of Euro-specific capital, and I'll also give folks that website and put that up on screen. Peter, continue where we left off.
Yeah, it's amazing how often history repeats, even recent history, because the last financial crisis happened in the final year of Bush's second term. And the same thing is about to happen again. It's the final year of Obama's second term. And the bubble that the central banks have created during the Obama administration is much bigger than the one that we inflated during the Bush administration. And if you remember, in early 2008, in February 2008, all the experts were unanimous. Everything was great. The U.S. economy was in good shape. Nothing to worry about. And then a few months later, we had the financial crisis and, all hell broke loose. And now the same thing is happening again because we didn't let the free market solve the problems that the Federal Reserve created. We now have exacerbated all those problems. We now have an even bigger economic crisis around the corner. And the same experts who were oblivious before are still telling us that everything is fine. There's nothing to worry about. In fact, the Fed was so convinced we were in such great shape that they actually raised interest rates in December, and everybody applauded. Everybody said, oh, this is fantastic. This proves that the crisis is over. Well, we're about to launch this crisis into a whole new gear. What you saw in 2008 was a Sunday school picnic compared to what's coming up right now. And I think what we're going to have this time again is a currency crisis, because I don't think they're going to let it get to a repeat of 2008 in this election year. I think they're getting ready to pull out the stops with 0%, maybe negative rates, QE4. Who knows what these guys are going to do, but it's going to destroy the value of the dollar. Hopefully it won't be a worst case scenario, which is hyperinflation, where the currency is completely worthless. Hopefully they figure out their mistakes before we go that far down the line. But don't wait. Don't wait to find out how much value the dollar loses. You need to get rid of your dollars now. That's what we're doing with our clients. We're still buying lots of gold. Gold stocks are extremely cheap. If people really want to try to hit the home run here, there's a lot of 10 baggers, 20 baggers in the gold mining space, even though a lot of these stocks are up 50, 100, 150% since mid-January. Since mid-January, you've got some stocks that have tripled, but there's still so much more to go. A lot of these stocks are still down 70, 80% from where they were a few years ago. But I think the momentum is there in these stocks, also in physical gold. And the markets I like the best, New Zealand, Singapore, Switzerland, there's a lot of value there because the dollar is still overpriced because people haven't figured out what's around the corner yet. So there's still plenty of time for people to protect themselves and work with me at Euro Pacific Capital to get these diversified foreign portfolios, or work with me at Schiff Gold to get physical gold before it blows through 1,300. Because once it goes through there, there's not that much resistance until we get back near the old highs of around 1,900.
Well, Peter, expanding on that, when I have Den on, he says, hey, all the gold in the world goes in an Olympic swimming pool. That's not what you're going to base the currency on. Well, that sounds like it's what you do base it on because it's scarce.
Exactly.
Plus it's industrial. Plus, once the market's been so bad for 4 years or whatever, everybody's getting out of gold at the production level. That means then you can't ramp production back up for a long time. Once gold goes back up, to me, it seems like the biggest potential home run there is or grand slam.
Oh, look, absolutely. You better get your piece of that swimming pool while you can, because the fact that it's scarce is one of the reasons it's so valuable. And yes, can we base the world's monetary system on gold at $1,230 an ounce? No, we can't. But at $10,000 an ounce, at $20,000 an ounce, obviously there's a price that's going to work.
That's right, stay there. And Davos talks about having a global SDR partially gold-backed. We'll be right back in 70 seconds with Peter Schiff, and then we've got so much more coming up, folks, so much more on the campaign trail, South Carolina. EuroPack.com is his website. He's not a sponsor, but I do have him on because he knows what he's talking about when it comes to economics and things. And so that's why I do endorse a lot of Peter Schiff's ideas. But I'm just here to get people thinking for themselves and having a wide variety of different perspectives so you can make your own decisions. I just know that I've studied history, and never before have humans been more unself-sufficient, more dependent, more spoiled rotten in the West. There are great people in Europe, great people in America, great people in Japan, great people in Australia, New Zealand, Canada. But let's just get down to brass tacks. I don't know how to take care of myself compared to my dad, and I'm like a caveman compared to the average yuppie. I mean, you hear about yuppies move out in the country, and they see their neighbor hauling a deer up to gut it, and they call the police on them. I see that article every day in the news. And the cops show up and act like it's wrong in many areas. And it's just like, it's body snatchers or something. What are they going to do during this meltdown? And how bad is it going to get? We've only got about 4 minutes left. I wanted to just get any more time frame info from you, Peter, and then also ask, what do you think about the campaign so far? What do you think about Scalia? I didn't say they murdered him. I said there should be an autopsy. The cops have come out and said that too. One of the deputies came on and said they've never done this before. It's really weird. Other little tidbits about what's happening. Bernie Sanders, what a nightmare.
Well, obviously, look, there should be an autopsy, but, 79-year-old guy, overweight, probably not in the best shape. I mean, the fact that he died of natural causes is, obviously not something that's outside the realm of possibility. But look, they should still do an autopsy anyway, just to clear away any potential doubts. But, Bernie Sanders, that is very scary. I mean, if you look at the support that he enjoys, particularly with younger people in this country, and that is a very scary thought. Because unfortunately, this is a democracy, which means mobocracy, which means majority rules. And if the majority are a bunch of socialists, we're in trouble. Look, the Nazi Party, again, not that I'm going to compare.
No, but they were National Socialists, and Hitler was going to give them something for free. What about Sanders, it turns out, never had a paying job till 40 and bragged that he was a bum. The guy is a bum.
My point is, but we elected, Germany elected the Nazis. But the point is, this is the danger of putting things up to a vote. When you have American school system, we indoctrinate kids. They learn absolutely nothing. They're brainwashed until they're 22 years old, and they come out Bernie Sanders voters. They know nothing about economics. They know nothing about the history of this country. They know nothing about our founding principles or what made this country great.
They're idiots.
They just know a bunch of nonsense, and they want something for nothing, and they believe the lies told by Sanders, because the lies told by the Democrats and Republicans up until now have blown up in their faces. And especially when you have Barack Obama giving a State of the Union address, talking about how great everything is and how many jobs he's created, and you've got all these people living in their parents' basements.
He said the U.S. has never been better financially.
No, and people are frustrated because at least Bill Clinton said, I feel your pain. Barack Obama's like, hey, there's no pain to feel. I've done a great job. And this is just, creating a great environment for Bernie Sanders to tap into that resentment, that frustration, and, of course, the envy.
Who do you think wins in a matchup? I mean, because now even Salon's thrown in the towel saying Hillary can't win. Who's more dangerous, Bernie or Hillary, A? And then B, I think Trump will dominate either one of those clowns in the general election.
Trump is an unknown quantity because, Trump is a showman. right? And he may be saying certain things because he knows that that's what's going to get the votes. I mean, Trump, Trump has better judgment and is, and probably more intelligent to actually do the right thing. A lot of the things that he's saying to get elected, hopefully those aren't going to be the things that he does if he is elected. He might just be, as much as he says, I'm not a politician, he's playing politics because he knows what works. And by holding himself out not to be a politician, right, to say, I'm not the same old thing, I'm something different, there's a lot of politics there because he's
sure. I'm not usually lesser of two evils, but we know he's better than Hillary and Bernie.
Well, no question about it. But the question is, what will he do? I mean, if he obviously tries to put all these tariffs on and he doesn't really want to cut Social Security, he wants to replace Obamacare with some other kind of government socialized program. If he wants to do a lot of this stuff, then it's going to be a disaster. But hopefully he's smart enough not to actually do that. Once he gets elected, he can do what's right.
All right, Peter Schiff, we're out of time. Thank you so much, Peter. We'll be right back. I'm Alex Jones.